The sun was barely up, and I was nursing my first coffee, watching my chicken scratch at the dirt when I heard it, a sharp double knock on my gate. It was unmistakable, like someone declaring war with their knuckles. I didn't need to look to know it was Linda, the HOA president, armed with her clipboard and a vendetta. By the time I reached the gate, there she stood in her pressed khakis, a badge pinned to her shirt like she was the queen of our cul-de-sac. Above my barn, a drone hummed, scanning my property with a cold, mechanical eye. "You have 14 days to repaint that thing," Linda snapped, pointing at my barn without even a hello. "It violates Article 6, Section 3B of the Neighborhood Aesthetic Code. Red is unacceptable. We're modern rustic now, beige, taupe, or off-white only." I stared, dumbfounded. My barn, built by my grandfather in 1953, was older than this entire neighborhood. It was on my land, my deed, my history. "Linda, this barn predates your HOA by decades," I said, trying to keep calm. She smirked, pulling out a petition with 6 signatures. Her cousin, and 4 others I barely knew. "All property falls under HOA visual standards," she said, tapping the drone's remote. "Non-compliance means a $500 daily fine, escalating weekly." The barn stood proud, its red paint vibrant, no rot, no rust. It wasn't an eyesore, it was a legacy, but Linda didn't care. That night, a fine notice arrived, complete with a photo of my barn circled in red ink, labeled "no incompliant." By day 3, more notices piled up. "Hay bales too close to the fence. Chickens too loud during meditation hours." Meditation hours? I checked the HOA website. Sure enough, a 24-page PDF of new rules, typed in Comic Sans, probably over Linda's evening wine. I tried calling the HOA board, emailing, even visiting their office, a locked garage with a sign reading "appointments only." No response. On day 5, my neighbor Tom shuffled over, looking guilty. "Linda got me to sign something," he mumbled. "Said it was for a new streetlight. Now my name's on her petition against your barn." I shook my head. "She lied to you?" He nodded, but didn't retract his signature. By day 7, Linda held a community meeting in the park, microphone in hand, banners flapping. "We must fight visual pollution," she declared, gesturing at my barn like it was a crime scene. I wasn't invited. When I tried to speak, she cut the mic. "Only board members can address the group," she hissed. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Some laughed, but most stayed silent. That night, a final notice arrived. If I didn't repaint by Thursday, the HOA would enter my property and paint it themselves. Then I found it, a tiny camera nailed to my barn's roof, pointed at my house. No permission, no warning. Linda had crossed the line. I was done playing nice. I decided to fight back, not with lawyers or shouts, but with paint. I turned my barn into a canvas of her own words. Every petty rule, every fine, every insult. The next morning, another violation slip was taped to my mailbox. Failure to conceal barn during compliance review. Linda was making up rules faster than I could read them. My bank pinged me. A $3,000 lien from the HOA for escalated non-cooperation. I drove to the HOA office again, still locked. Tom came by, pacing. "Linda threatened to audit me if I withdrew my signature," he said. Something about chicken coop spacing. I checked the website. Page 16, there it was, another invented rule. By day 9, Linda filed for limited access rights to beautify my barn. I called a lawyer, Mike, who wasn't cheap. If the HOA's bylaws cover aesthetic compliance, they might have a case, he warned. Unless you've got proof the barn's exempt. I didn't yet. The sheriff showed up, tired and apologetic. "Linda's filing complaints daily," he said. "The county has to treat it like a safety issue. Just keep it calm." Calm? I was drowning in fines and drones. That night, a pink envelope arrived, handwritten. "Dear James, your barn makes our street look like a backwater farm. Be a neighbor, not a nuisance. Sincerely, Linda, HOA president." It wasn't just bureaucracy anymore. It was personal. The next day, Linda placed orange cones across my driveway, blocking my feed delivery. When I moved them, she filmed me, yelling, "Vandalism of HOA property." That evening, her drone returned, projecting, "Remove this eyesore," across my barn in glowing letters. I snapped. Grabbing a can of white primer, I painted a giant L on the barn, Linda's initial, the start of my rebellion. I gathered every notice, every fine, every letter, and planned my counterattack. But I felt powerless, angry, and isolated. Then, under the porch, I found it, my grandfather's records, including the 1953 deed. One line stood out. Outbuildings erected before municipal incorporation are exempt from aesthetic zoning. It was my trump card. At dawn, I marched to the county clerk's office. Old Mr. Jenkins read the deed, chuckling. "Still valid," he said. "The HOA can't touch you." He notarized an exemption notice, and I left feeling unstoppable. I called my friend Sam, a muralist. "Forget the patriotic mural we planned," I said. "Paint Linda's words. Every complaint, every rule, verbatim." Sam grinned. "A shame mural. Genius." For 2 days, we stenciled her nonsense across the barn in bold black, red, and white. Unacceptable haystack visibility. Barn's aura is too aggressive for suburban vibes. Rooster disrupts post-yoga tranquility. On the cul-de-sac side, in massive red letters, "If you won't respect HOA harmony, we'll force compliance. Linda, HOA president." Neighbors slowed to stare. Some laughed, some took photos. Kids biked over to read the wall. Local bloggers arrived, then the regional paper. I filed complaints about Linda's drone and camera. Within 24 hours, the county cited her for privacy violations. The barn became a sensation. I moved to permanently remove the HOA cones, citing easement abuse, and submitted Linda's notices as evidence of harassment. Then I launched a petition for a special vote to recall Linda as HOA president. I needed 25% of the neighborhood, 35 signatures. Door to door, I showed the mural, the deed, and the $7,500 fines. People had signed Linda's petitions out of fear or lies. By night 2, I had 48 signatures. On Friday, Linda stormed over, heels sinking into my gravel. "This is defamation," she screamed, pointing at the mural. "These are your words," I said. "The county says I'm exempt. Your drone? Illegal. That camera? Privacy violation. You're lucky I didn't press charges." Her face turned barn red. "There's a vote tomorrow," I added. "Better prep your concession speech." The next morning, a county inspector removed her drone and camera. Linda's car sat across the street, booted for a traffic violation I didn't even report. Saturday's vote was tense. The cul-de-sac buzzed with chairs, ballots, and Linda's cupcakes, her last attempt at charm. She spoke first, all smiles. "We're here to preserve our community's beauty." But the mural loomed, impossible to ignore. Teens snapped selfies with rooster disruption. I voted first, silently. Others followed, glancing between Linda and the barn. 2 hours later, the results: 44 of 63 votes to recall Linda. The crowd cheered, not wild but relieved. Linda sputtered, "This is a coup," before storming off, knocking over her cupcakes. One stuck to her shoe, the day's best laugh. Neighbors brought lemonade and apologies. Tom patted my shoulder. "We let her get too big for her boots." That night, Sam and I added a final quote across the barn's top beam. "This barn survived storms, droughts, and time. Its worst threat wore a name tag." The story went viral. The headline read, "Man turns HOA war into public art. President recalled over paint." The fines were erased and the bylaws rewritten. Linda sold her house 3 weeks later, rejected by another HOA after her mural fame spread. The barn's now a landmark. Tourists stop by. Kids read about authoritarianism disguised as neighborliness. I added a plaque. These words were real. This nonsense was real, but it didn't win. Sipping coffee on my porch, chickens clucking, I raised my mug. "To you, Grandpa. The barn wins. What do you think? Was I right to fight back with paint, or should I have played by Linda's rules?" Share your thoughts below, especially on facing bullying or injustice in your own life. Take a stand. Let's hear your voice.